The ascension process, and I'm going to add to this from my own experience, from my own understanding of it, another side of it that this is coming from me, and it's definitely not for the faint of heart, and it required, and realistically, it required a lot of accountability, a lot of honesty with myself with this, and personal ownership with it. And the word that's coming to my mind here is being squeezed. And I'm sure many can relate to this. I want to share from my own experiences of what that really is. So we volunteer, or I want to volunteer, and we all volunteer on behalf of the soul as an ambassador showing up here in this physical world. So we are as a unique type of a species. And when we show up here, we're showing up into this emotional field, this emotional entanglement of energies, and specifically in this physical 3D realm. As I showed up here, it was for me to represent the soul, and initially, whenever I showed up here, I was here to fulfill something here for my soul, and with whatever happened, I wanted to be taken off course. And then whatever I was supposed to do here physically on behalf of the soul, it never happened. And instead of I'm coming here for many, many lifetimes, and I'm getting stuck doing the same thing. For every lifetime that I showed up here, the soul at one point either got fed up, frustrated, or pissed off, in the short of it. And every time when I left here, my soul had an accumulated file of all of my life experiences that got tacked on from the other past lifetimes as another chalked up lifetime experience, and that lifetime was never dealt with properly. Now, there's been many lifetimes where I was successful, and there's many other lifetimes where things went right sideways, or that lifetime had to be scrubbed. So I'm sharing it from a realistic, from an honest, from a term or a set point that I'm being honest about it, that I had no freaking clue about any of this. When the severity of this, when the hammer came down from the universe, in the short of it, that when I volunteered on behalf of my soul showing up here, the soul, the universe, and we all have spiritual guides, they're all watching us from the other side. And they all have the understanding that it's different for each and every one of us, and it doesn't matter upon the race, the culture, the creed, the background. With whatever we're coming here for, every one of us is unique, every one of us is different, and we're all coming here to experience a different flavor or a different sauce, whatever you want to call it, as an emotional experience and without being stuck by it. From my own experiences and from what I've been seeing with this for the last 13 years, especially when a person gets sick or when I'm getting sick, it's the soul's way of interrupting from the other side, because the soul has 50% say of the contract. And the soul's asking, is like, hey, use me as the example. Mr. Sherba, you've worked a lot. I see that you've been fulfilling something here for somebody else. And after my 5th near-death experience, this is where my awakening began, where from the other side, they stepped in and saying, okay, if you keep going with this, you're going to be coming back here for another lifetime doing the same thing all over again. And I made a very, very clear decision after that this lifetime has been more than enough. So feeling the squeeze of that and being squeezed by the universe with it, and it's as a feeling, it was a very, very painful reminder that despite everything that I had going on in my life, I started paying attention to what the universe was showing me, and more particularly with what my soul was saying. Stefan, part of my promise with showing up here is doing the necessary shadow work. And it's not so much it is the shadow work, it's doing the inner work on the inside. The soul vibrates at the high energies. And the soul is also stuck with the lower dimensional energy. So from every lifetime when I showed up here, it has all that accumulated energy recorded inside of it. And the soul at one point, it can only evolve or grow to a certain point. And in order for the soul to grow or to expand, it needs to be able to cut or sever these lower emotional energies. So when I showed up here and when I splashed into this physical realm, this became a major assignment for me. I'm sharing this from my own understanding of it, and I learned this through working my tail off. And this goes way beyond the norm of this is the blunt of it. This is the truth of it. And so when I made the decision that I'm like, thank you, universe, thank you, soul, for showing me things, then it was, somebody asked me a while ago about like, well, Stefan, like, what does it take with getting connected with your spiritual guides? I've had some inquiries about doing the ascension work, and I'm being honest with this, that had I not taken this seriously or being committed with this, that term of being squeezed is very, very real. And I'm sharing this so that there's no smoke or mirrors with this, that there's accountability and there's personal, for me there was a massive amount of personal responsibility doing this. And that accountability required for me to get up and do whatever I had to do at the time to make this thing remotely possible. So despite with whatever I had, the resources, and I was a very, very lucky guy at the time being able to step into this, I'm referring to being squeezed, that at one point all my finances were taken out, and it wasn't there like as a form of punishment from the universe or from my soul, but it was a very, very clear message for me that, Stefan, the soul in my case is invested anywhere, say, God knows, like 150 or 200 years of its time prior to me physically showing up in this physical realm. And the soul really, really wants to make sure that there's a dent done with cleaning up this lower emotional energy. When every lifetime when the soul shows up here, and when they do show up here, it is a binding agreement with the universe, with the soul, and with the spiritual guides, and they're all watching us from the other side. They're all having the awareness that when we show up here, or when I showed up here, there is that thing called the wall of amnesia. And then at one point, I made a firm decision that I'll do whatever it takes here. And throughout the process, there were times where it's one thing making a human promise, and it's another thing making a promise to the universe. They're poles apart. So just an FYI for that. The term of being squeezed, it forced me at one point, on several occasions, to drop the entanglements inside of me, for me to drop the resistance inside of me, for me to really buckle up, and I had to put on a seatbelt or two to really adapt with this, because the way that humanity's been run with this is no longer sustainable. It's no longer sustainable because the 3D system, unfortunately, was controlled by forces here that they didn't want to see people either awakening or stepping into their own power with this. And as I took the ownership of it, and there were several times where I thought, man, Stefan, it's in me to make this thing happen. It really forced me to get out of my comfort zone and to really sit up in the front seat. And at one point, had I not kept my side of the bargain with this, with my soul, this is where I felt the squeeze of it. And the squeeze of it wasn't there as a reminder of saying, Stefan, you're doing the wrong thing. It was to really drive the point home that I'm here to fulfill something else. And I really had to get whatever was required for me to get done properly. And initially for me was to get my life together, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And it was for me to drop the facade and the illusion of all the masks that I had worn, despite the physical success that I did attain. And that was a tough pill to swallow. The cool part is, when I went through the school of rough knocks, even in this physical realm, and when the universe knocked on my door after that, I was like, wow, okay, there's more to this. I'm not just here as a physical being, but I'm here as a spiritual being, as a human soul, and that I volunteered on behalf of my soul. And then at one point, that when I had done enough of the inner work, and I tell you humbly, it forced me down on my knees to really deal with it. Because had I not dealt with it, there's consequences with this, and the consequences were quite real. So I had the understanding that we're in this game called life, and it's not to be taken for granted. And it is a gift for every one of us to really level up and do something. And it doesn't take a lifetime with doing whatever we need to do with or deal with initially. What I'm referring to with being squeezed, the soul that puts so much time and so much resources into it, that when the soul does show up here, like it may not like for every lifetime, it may come back every 1,000 years, 500 years, or when I leave here, it might come back for another lifetime, and or sometimes for other souls, it may come back another 5,000 or 10,000 years from now, because the souls don't want to come down here. So there's a massive urgency with the split right now, this 3D and the 5D type consciousness. And it's really to up-level one's energy with it, and without any spiritual bypassing, and it's to really anchor in the foundation. And the foundation is critical to this. The foundation on the inside, if it's not solid, if it's not stable, this is where anything can be taken out with this. And the moment when I dealt with this lifetime, when I felt the squeeze of it, it was for me to really address with whatever the conflict was inside of me, anything from my own childhood experiences, the family, the culture, the religion, and from the other souls, from the souls of many other past lifetimes. And once that got cleared out, then it was like gifting my soul like a platinum card with cutting all of its baggage on the other side. And this started to liberate and free my own soul with this. So I'm simply sharing this because this information needs to get out. And I'm aware that each and every one of us, we all have a key to this, whatever this is. And this 3D to 5D split, and for those there's many others that can go way higher, the most important part of this here is having a peaceful soul closure with this 3D nonsense. And then at one point elevating into the 4D, and then at one point doing enough of the inner work and tapping into the heart, being into the 5D. And I'm sharing this because there's another way out with this. There's an alternate way to live, and if you're feeling stuck, or if you feel like there's no way out, didn't say it was easy. And it was told to me many, many times that, hey, Stefan, none of us are here on a picnic. So I'm sharing this because this is a sober truth of it. It is a sober reality of it, and you cannot hide with the universe of this. So I really wanted to get this video out there, and it's simply there to inspire and to educate and to give and to encourage others that there is a way out of this. However, there's no shortcuts. So some food for thought. So until next time, be kind, treat each other well, and see you in the next video. Take care.